And still looking at water-related crisis, World Water Week is celebrated this week. World Water Week 2021 will address one of the most important challenges facing mankind, the climate crisis. Concerned populations and political leaders worldwide, driven by a strong call from the younger generation, are demanding that the data and information provided by scientists are listened to, and that there is a political agenda that recognizes the climate change crisis as the single biggest threat to the world. World Water Week 2021 contributes by focusing on the role of water and on turning climate risk into engagement. Director of Programs, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, Philip Jackbo, joins me on the news from Lagos via Skype. Good to have you join us.
It's a pleasure being here. Thank you.
So let's talk about this crisis. It's been on for a while, but it looks like it is not gaining traction as it should be. A lot of countries and a lot of people are now facing water scarcity. We see that it is also leading to insecurity. Talk to us about the magnitude of this challenge.
Oh, I think it is good to have this foundational knowledge that climate change impacts are not restricted only to the flooding incidents that we have been talking about for years, extreme rains and things like that. It is also implicated in droughts that you have, desertification, the kind of things that we see in the northern part of Nigeria, where you have about 11 frontline states suffering from, desert encroachment. Now, what is the wider implication? I think also in the Lake Chad region, there's this statistic which says that as at 1963 or so, the Lake Chad was about 25,000 square kilometers, and today it is less than 1,500 square kilometers and still drying up. So what that means is the millions and millions of people who were around the Lake Chad, who fish, farm, they will have to migrate to greener areas. So they start moving, into other parts of the country. And that is largely responsible for the crisis you have with original landowners and the settlers in the middle belt part of Nigeria, particularly. So with climate change, you have these crises intensifying. You are going to have more of the kind of clashes we are having in the Jos, in Benue, and all those places, except we do something about the situation.
And for those who live around Lake Chad, that was a source of income for them in terms of fishing, irrigation, for farming. But now when that is shrinking, I just want to paint this picture just so people understand what we're talking about. Some time ago, I read somewhere that when scientists are coming from astronauts and scientists are coming from space, the sighting of Lake Chad was how they knew that they were closer to Earth. But now that it is shrinking, it is very difficult to even tell that anything exists there in that space as a body of water. That's how bad it is. So how is this also impacting on the conflict that we're seeing around the world today and the migrant and refugee situation?
Well, of course, you can see that in the news in the past 1 month or so. You're also having the worsening of the fires in Algeria, Morocco, and all those places, Greece, Turkey. Now, naturally, where you have, so let us bring it back to Africa, where you have the kind of situation happening in the Lake Chad region. It is also being faced in Mali, Chad, Niger, and all those areas. So naturally, people will start migrating to greener areas. Of course, livelihoods will be lost. And then the most important point here is that you are going to also have serious stress on areas where you still have water. The convergence in Stockholm for the celebration of the World Water Week is talking about water, although we do not agree with most of the models being proposed, because what you have, the gathering in Stockholm is a gathering of people who believe water should be privatized. That's one of the things we are against. But then, because that meeting is convened by the World Bank Group, but then as you have more of this climate change crisis and you have the drying up of parts of the country, people will naturally migrate. So you see the cattle rearers, the herders moving down south. This is all part of the whole issue around, climate change, and it stresses on water, because those who move their cattle are looking for green areas. They are looking for water, so they continue to migrate. So it's a real crisis that we have at hand.
And I'm sure people are wondering right now, how can you say there is water scarcity when you have, for example, a body of water like the Atlantic Ocean? Let's also state that 71% of the earth is made up of water, but only 3% of that water is fresh. And it is the 3% that we're talking about right now that is shrinking, which means that we're all going to be facing water scarcity. Water is going to become, right now it already is it is a commodity that is very precious. So we're all looking for water. That's why people are trekking all around trying to get water, especially in this time of COVID-19 when you need to really wash your hands and stay hygienic. So what should we do in terms of water management amid the climate change?
Well, I think one of the things we must do is to manage what we have. And in managing what we have, the discussion has to be government and the people, and not involving the privatizers who think only of making profit from water. That is the major crisis we have today. So the government has to take water seriously. I think the budgetary allocation to water in the 2021 budget is about 2%, which is very, very insignificant. And then you have this push all around the world, which is advanced by the World Bank Group, for water to be privatized. And with that privatization, it means only the rich can actually afford that 3% that we are all struggling for. So our government must be serious. We've had years and years of budgetary allocation to the sector that is not even used appropriately. The discussions around how we should make water affordable and accessible to the people does not involve the people. It is the discussion between government and the privatizers, and that is also what is going on in Stockholm. It is privatizers talking, not the people. In Nigeria here, I think some months ago, we also had the issue of the National Water Resources Bill. It also revolved around the issue of attempts to ultimately privatize water. So you can see the uproar throughout the country. People are saying, no, you just have to discuss with the people. There has to be participation of the people in decision making when it comes to the access to water, and that is not what is happening. So, and then most importantly, we also have to eliminate corruption in the discourse or in the water sector, because we have had years and years also where government says they take loans from somewhere and they build taps everywhere, and the taps only run for one day, and that is all. In the early 80s, there were taps everywhere. Today, you have taps everywhere, but they are dry. There's no water. So it's a serious issue. Increased budgetary allocation to the water sector, integrating broad public participation in the decision making in relation to water, the elimination of corruption, and government must see providing water to the people as an obligation, because water is a right that people are entitled to. These are the kind of things we should be talking about.
Water is a basic amenity that everyone should be entitled to. And I guess we also just have to advise people to stop wasting water. Someone else needs it somewhere. Thank you so much for talking to us. I wish we had enough time to expatiate on that. Thank you so much for talking to us, Director of Programs, Corporate Accountability and Public Participation Africa, Philip Jackmo.
Thank you.